Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. Today I am so incredibly excited because this is my first 1001 book countdown video where I'm actually going to reduce down my number. I'm so excited. So let's jump right in. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the 1001 book countdown, it is based off the 1001 books you must read before you die list. You can go and check out my BookTube newbie part 2 video if you want more information about it. But for today, we're just gonna go for it. So the first thing I'm gonna do is put the 1000 number up on the screen, which is why I'm off center today out of the video. So I'm gonna put the 1001 number up. I'm also gonna put the 35 number up, which is my 2021 list. So hopefully we'll see how far I get today. So for this, the first book that I actually selected for this was part of my TBR list as part of the newbie video, which was The Three Penny Opera by Bertolt Brecht. So super excited by how thin this is. I got it from the library, which was amazing. But they had a copy and I was able to get it right away. So one of the things with this book is it set me up to say I really wanted to love this book. The first line in this says, brutal, scandalous, perverted, yet humorous, hummable with a happy ending, and at the beginning of the 21st century, elderly, ubiquitous. Okay, you've piqued my interest so far. It goes on to compare it to Sweeney Todd, to the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It has Frank Sinatra and Michael Corleone from The Godfather. And so I'm excited. I can't wait to read this book. I think that, oh, wow, I'm expecting a really raunchy, funny story. So the next part that made me think that is I read the prologue, which is the Ballad of Mac the Knife. It says the beggars are begging, the thieves are stealing, the whores are whoring. A ballad singer sings a ballad. See the shark with teeth like razors, all can read his open face, and Macheath has got a knife, but not in such an obvious place. And it goes on like that for a little bit. So again, I am just super excited because I think I'm going to love this book. And the bottom line is, I didn't. I was very disappointed after that. There's 3 acts in this. It's a very short book, so it didn't take me long at all to read. But the main part of it is that the act 1 is so slow moving for me that I really had a hard time. The other thing is it's written in the form like a play. So the characters' names are at the start of the line. And for me, that made it very hard for me to get into. So I'm not sure if I didn't like it because of the style and that it was a play. I don't read a lot of plays, and that is why I didn't like it, or if it just wasn't what I expected. I just didn't get into the story. I gave it 2.5 stars because I liked how at least the beginning with the prologue and the description were, but it wasn't my favorite. But I do get to reduce down the numbers. So with this book, which I have finished, I'm going to change the number from 1001 down to 1000. And it was on my 2021 reading list, so that number will go from 35 to 34. Yay! Okay, so the next book I don't have a physical copy of. I had it in a digital version, and that is actually The Passage to India by E.M. Forster. So if you watched my intro video to this concept, you know that I was not excited about reading this book. I've tried to read it a few times and just hadn't been able to. So what I did this time that was different is I actually picked up the audiobook as well as my digital copy and started listening to that while I was out on a walk last weekend. And what I realized very quickly is that I didn't like the first chapter. After that, when they started introducing the characters, there's 4 main characters, which are Dr. Aziz, Mr. Fielding, Mrs. Moore, and Miss Quested. There are some other characters, but those are the 4 ones they really focus on quite a bit. Once they started interacting, I started to like it quite a bit more. So basically, the book describes Indian and British relations during the time that E.M. Forster was actually in the country. And so it is a story story basically of Miss Questis and Miss Moore, who have traveled to India to visit Mrs. Moore's son. And Miss Questis is described as an ignorant character. I thought she was a bit naive as well, where she says she wants to see the real India, whatever that means, and is always wanting to go out and maybe have adventures that aren't necessarily in her best interests. Mrs. Moore and Dr. Aziz meet at a mosque, and their first interaction is actually very interesting. He accuses her of having her shoes on in the mosque, and so they have just an interesting conversation. But Dr. Aziz and Mr. Fielding end up having both Mrs. Moore and Miss Quested over for a tea, where they talk about going to the Marabar Caves, and ultimately they end up going. Now, while they're in the Marabar Caves, something happens to Mrs. Moore that's just frightening but doesn't hurt her. And then something happens to Miss Questis that's implied as that it is some type of an assault. They don't tell you what actually happened, and even the Miss Questis character doesn't really tell you what happens. And so the rest of the book is Dr. Aziz's trial, because he's accused of doing whatever this was, and it is all of the aspects of his trial. So one of the things you get very, very quickly from this book is that he doesn't have much of a chance of getting any type of a fair trial. The one quote I wanted to read was, "You mean he's more frightened of acquitting than convicting, because if he acquits, he'll lose his job." And that just tells you right off the top, probably not going to be super fair. So I don't want to give away what happened in the trial, because it is pivotal to the story if you are going to read it. I thought it was an interesting book. I was pleasantly surprised that I didn't have to DNF it, because I was concerned that I would have to DNF it. I'm also surprised I read it this early in the month, because I was thinking I was going to have it drag on all month. So it is worth a read. I rated it as a 3-star on Goodreads. I think I might have typed in a 2.75. If you could give quarter stars on Goodreads, you can't even give half stars on Goodreads. But it is worth one if you want to pick it up and read it. It's not going to be one of my top favorites for sure, but it is on my 1001 list, so I'm going to take it from 1,000 now down to 999. And I know that that's only 2 books off of the list, but I have been reading off of this list for years. Absolutely years. And so to be in the triple digits now is such a huge thing for me. And hopefully we get to have the journey of me reducing down that number even more as I go forward. So it's also on my 52-week list for 2021, just making my list-making self happy here. And so I get to reduce that number as well down to 33. So top number is now at 999, bottom number is at 33. I was really hoping to be able to pick up a third book and read it this week, and I have picked up Silence by Shusaku Endo, which is part of the Asian Readathon. He was my Japanese author pick that I had done, and the bottom line was I was trying to rush my way through the book in order just to reduce the number, which isn't really what I wanted to accomplish. So I took a step back and just started to read it for just what I should be reading it for, which is just fun. And hopefully I'll have it in the next one. You can see in here, I am a good third of the way through it now, and am liking it so far. It's an interesting book. And with that is the end of my first 1001 book countdown. I wish, like I said, I had another book to take down the numbers, but we're going to end at 999 and 33 today. I do want to try and do a video every week. Some weeks I might read only 1. Some weeks I might read 4. This week it was 2. So hopefully you're able to continue on this journey with me. I am creating a playlist at the end of the video. So maybe someday we'll be able to go back and I'll be able to binge watch everything from 1001 down to 0. I might be 70 when that happens, but be exciting if I could. So give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. Really appreciate all of the wonderful support everyone has given me so far. And until next time, thanks everyone. Bye.